Hello, Fazilet. Thank you very much for agreeing to this interview. Would you like to give a short introduction of yourself?
Yes, hi, I'm Fazilet Hadi. I'm currently working at Disability Rights UK, but I'm going to tell you a bit about myself. So, I was actually born in Calcutta in India. My parents are Shia Muslims, and their families were originally from Iran. So I feel my origins are very exotic. One grandfather of mine went to Burma, where he had a rice mill, and the other went to what would now be Pakistan. It was India at the time, and was also very entrepreneurial. So I came to England when I was very young, kind of under 2 years old. So I've never really known any other country except England. And I'm probably very, very English. But when I was growing up, the household was very, very dominated by religion. And my mum particularly was very strict. She's had a lot of faith. She's a very lovely woman. She's not, my parents have died now. I always think it must have been amazing for them to, leave Burma, leave India, find themselves in England in the late 50s. But after, as I said, I wasn't born in England, but my two younger brothers were. And the household, my mum said her prayers 5 times a day, expected us to. We celebrated all the sort of Eid festivals, but we also, did the less fun bits of Islam, of which there's quite a lot. I felt as a child there were far too many non-fun bits of Islam, I must say. And I found a kind of, when I was growing up particularly, that kind of tension between my home life and my outside life with school and friends that had none of the restrictions that I felt I had in my life. My parents, one thing about them was just amazing though. When they found out about my sight loss, and it was my mum actually that noticed, she saw that I was reaching for toys, it wasn't quite touching them, and she got me to Moorfields, which is a very famous eye hospital in London, and they told her I had this genetic condition called retinitis pigmentosa, which is a degeneration of the retina, and it probably began to affect me when I was about 9, and then I kind of rapidly lost sight between sort of 9 and 18 really, all through my school years, which was like very difficult. But I must say about my parents, they were absolutely fantastic. They never lowered their expectations of me. They always expected me to study as hard as my brothers, and in fact they'd irritate my brothers by saying, why aren't you studying as hard as your sister? So I'll always thank them for that, because you hear stories about parents who have low expectations for disabled children, and mine never did, never ever did. And they didn't really mollycoddle me that much either. I was allowed to go off, despite being a very religious household, I was allowed to go off youth hosteling with my little friends. I then kind of, I did go to university, and I went to law college, and I started my career as a solicitor. And then I've worked in sort of different fields of equality ever since, really. So that's a little bit about me.
Great. What do you think of Disability History Month, if anything?
Well, actually, I'm ashamed to say that till this year, I didn't even know there was a Disability History Month. I mean, maybe it's because I work at Disability Rights UK since January that I've had taken a bit of a greater interest. But obviously this year has been so amazing in the sense that we've had COVID, so there's been a real spotlight shone on inequality of disabled people that we've spoken out about for many months. And I suppose it's 25 years from the Disability Discrimination Act this month. So again, you know, I'm very conscious of that. And I think to say disabled people's stories should be told. And there's lots of people we don't even know they were disabled because it's not mentioned, like Monet the painter and Beethoven, and you know, loads of people are disabled. And I think that should be talked about. We should feel kind of look back in history. God, if it's hard enough today being disabled, goodness knows what it was like hundreds of years ago. And I know it's still hard, you know, for us now, but I can't even imagine, you know, to be blind in the sort of 18th, 19th century must have been just terrible. So yeah, I think maybe it should get more prominence, and yeah, it should be more mainstreamed, and maybe we can get some of the TV channels and things more interested in it.
How has your impairment, how has being disabled impacted on you as a person of color, or the other way, how has being a person of color impacted on you being a disabled person, if at all?
Yeah, well, I think when I was young, I was excruciatingly self-conscious. I was self-conscious about my impairment. I tried to hide it when I could. I mean, I can't hide it now, it's too severe, but you know, in the early days, I probably could try. I probably, you know, outside the home, really kind of tried to be as kind of English as possible and fit in. I suppose as I've grown older, and I don't know if this is a huge generalization, but you know, I just gained confidence, and I think now, I mean, you know, I don't feel super old, but I probably am super old now. But I just think now that these are all elements of me. I don't really think of them even separately. I just feel very comfortable being me. I feel very comfortable with my heritage, and kind of, you know, I kind of always look at Islamophobia and anti-Islamic stuff with a certain lens because of my upbringing and origins. I look at disability now. Again, you know, I was talking about the inequalities. So I kind of feel very clear about that as well. I just feel very comfortable in my own skin, and I don't really kind of think of myself as, you know, the Fazilet who was born in India, or Shia parents, or the Fazilet who's blind. It's just all part of me, and they should all be visible parts of me. I don't really believe in all that stuff about, oh, you know, I don't see what colour you are, and I don't see your disability and all that jazz. That's not for me. I want people to see everything about me and then just accept it.
Thank you. Is there anything you want to add?
No, that's fine, Eleanor.
Thank you so much. And that's lovely hearing about, and it's lovely hearing your story. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Eleanor. Lovely to see you.